YouTube is working. Woohoo! So Sally is quite happy with that. So I want to thank everyone for being here. This is a um, welcome to our April meeting. We have a busy evening tonight, and we have a lot of candidates here and a lot of elected officials here. So thank you for being here. Also, I do want to recognize that. So I want to thank everyone for being here. This is a. Hold on. Well, I got an echo. I do want to note that today, tonight at 7:30, around 7:30-ish, is the beginning of Passover. So out of consideration for people, we do want to move things along quickly, especially the business portion. But from here, I'll turn it over to Sally. Do you have a motion to approve the March minutes?
I do. I'd like to move to approve the March minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any objection to approving the March minutes? Is there any objection? Okay, with that, hearing no objection, the March minutes are approved. And now we'll turn it over to our great member of Congress, Congresswoman Susan DelBene. We'll give you about 10 minutes, and then we'll have about 3 to 4 minutes of questions, if that works for you.
That works just fine. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you giving me some time to speak with you this evening, and just want to say I appreciate the work you're doing at this critical time, especially if any of you were just listening to the president's comments right before coming on to this call. It highlights how critically important it is for us to stand up for our communities, and also how critically important it is for us to win elections and take back the majority in the House of Representatives. First, since this was the topic of his comments, I want to talk about the war in Iran and the War Powers Resolution, which I supported. The president has to make a case to the American people before he can take the actions he did, before he can go to war. He did not do that, and he still hasn't done that. In fact, we don't have a justification. We don't have objectives. I think even if you listen to him this evening, which you don't need to, it's just he has a different story every time. This is a very serious undertaking, and putting the lives of our troops at risk, and with no justification, and again, with no objectives. This is a war of choice from Donald Trump, and we're going to continue to stand up, continue to fight the War Powers Resolution. We need to have more members of Congress who are willing to stand up. Unfortunately, Republicans are rubber stamp for Donald Trump. On the DHS shutdown, many of you might have heard what came up today. There was a proposal in the Senate to fund the other parts of DHS, FEMA, Coast Guard, TSA, and cybersecurity that passed the Senate. We were not allowed to vote on that bill in the House. It was changed to fund all of DHS. Apparently now Speaker Johnson has agreed that we will get to vote on the original Senate bill again in the House. So I expect that will happen, funding those agencies. But their goal going forward is to try to fund things through reconciliation on a party line vote. That's not the way, and also funding for multiple years. So we will continue a fight. I'm sorry about my lighting just changed, but we will continue on a fight there to stand up against this ongoing effort to give the president more of the power of the purse, stand up to rein in ICE and the violence that we have seen across the country, the deaths of Alex Petty and Renee Good, so many others across the country who have been impacted. Even in our region, people detained, cars left running on the streets, no due process. So it is important that we fund the other parts like TSA, like the Coast Guards. Folks are getting paid, but we must demand and must rein in ICE before there is any money going there. Unfortunately, they have money that Republicans have given them already, but I think we continue to stand strong, and I continue to stand strong and call that out. No funding unless there are complete changes and rules that they have to follow, like follow the law. That will continue. I wanted to also touch briefly on my role as the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. I said earlier that we have to take back the majority in the House. That's the number one way we can put a check on this administration and have Congress do its job as a co-equal branch. We need 3 more seats to take back the House. We have 44 districts where we are on offense across the country, and the American people are standing up. You have seen this in special elections. If I look at state legislative races that have taken place, special elections since November of 2024, we have flipped 30 seats. They have flipped 0. People are angry, understandably, with the high cost of living impacting families all over the country, housing, food, healthcare, childcare, energy costs, all going up directly because of actions of this president and Republicans in Congress. Tomorrow is, the anniversary of what Trump called Liberation Day, where he put the first tariffs in place. Prices, supposedly that was going to lower prices for folks across the country. It has raised prices for families, and there has been no end in sight. They're doubling down on tariffs despite what the Supreme Court has done, and I've continued to stand up that they do not have the right to do what they have done, he does not have the right to put tariffs in place without coming to Congress as well, and we'll continue to fight that. But there's so many issues that we can talk about, so I want to make sure that we have a few minutes for questions, and I also want to be clear that we have great candidates running across the country. I am confident that we will take back the majority as long as we do everything in our power to continue to stand up to get out the vote. You've seen the ongoing attack of voting, the Voting Rights Act and vote by mail. We are fighting back with every tool that we have, and we'll continue fighting back legally on the ground in states across the country to make sure that people right to vote continues to be honored. They have access to the ballot. And again, when we take back the majority in the House, we have the gavels, we have the ability to do oversight, we have subpoena power, but we also have the ability to get bills on the floor to stand up and make a difference. Thank you, and let me yield back.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And thank you for talking about the work that you're doing in supporting Democrats all across the country. I hope that we are able to run Democrats in every congressional seat and also every legislative seat, but that's not your worry. But
we're focused on the swing districts and definitely the ones that we feel like we have an opportunity to flip. We need to net 3. We have 44 districts who are on offense across the country. We believe we have an opportunity to flip.
Well, I'm a big fan of running for in all 535 seats. I understand that we can't fund everyone equally, but to actually have every Democrat across the country being able to vote for a Democrat for Congress, I think is really important. So we have some time for questions, about 5 minutes of questions. We have several hands up. We'll go Robin, then Lael, then Pat. Let's please keep your, if you're asking a question, please keep your questions short so we can ask as many questions as possible. Robin.
Thank you so much for being here, Representative DelBene, and for the hard work you are doing in this hellish atmosphere. My question is, I'm extremely concerned about election interference. And what are you planning or doing to ensure that our ballots are safe, that any kind of in-person voting is protected against ICE agents? He's made it very clear that he wants to mess with that. So what are your thoughts about that, and what can we do starting right now to protect our vote?
So it's a great question, and we are doing a lot across the board. Legally, fighting, sometimes we have been fighting and participating at the DCCC has been involved in cases, working with others across the country and other organizations, fighting at the state level, fighting at the federal level, and fighting at the Supreme Court. There's a case on the Voting Rights Act where they're trying to actually undermine Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to try to create more redistricting in the South. We've been fighting back on redistricting ever since they started in Texas. And people have been standing up across the country. People, even in Texas, hate what they're doing. And even with redistricting that they've done there, I think we still have the opportunity to pick up seats in Texas. And we're going to keep, and Virginia has a vote. California stood up with Prop 50. So that's one area they're attacking. They are trying to change campaign finance laws so that they can do more coordination and remove some laws that have been in place since Watergate. That's also a case of the Supreme Court, as well as the Voting Rights Act. So we're fighting legally and in states on individual attempts at suppression, and we're fighting on Trump's attempt to do things by executive order, as you might have seen even recently, trying to attack vote by mail. I will say that, when we look at vote by mail in particular, the Supreme Court is looking at vote by mail. And so we should all, and we'll track this very closely in terms of whether or not ballots that are received after Election Day can still be counted. I think as we see what happens with their decision, we should, and the oral arguments seem to indicate that they might make a change to whether or not ballots can be voted on after Election Day. We should all be very much focused on the work that we need to do to make sure voters are educated and are able to make sure their ballots are counted. And so we will continue to do that and spread that education. That's a big role that all of us play to make sure that people understand their rights, that we talk about the importance of doing things like voting early on vote by mail. And in terms of ICE, and one of the reasons they attack things like vote by mail is because it's hard to intimidate folks at a polling place if you're voting by mail. And so we're going to continue to fight to support vote by mail, which apparently Donald Trump also thinks he can use, and he did in his last time he cast a ballot, and also the work that we continue to do to make sure that ICE cannot conduct activity at sensitive places like schools or churches or hospitals or polling places. The continued effort we do. And I think the American people are standing up across the board. They hate this too. And I think we're going to continue to see strong turnout. But just so you know, secretaries of state across the country, local elected officials are critically important in this work. And that's why local elections are so critical. And so we're going to be working with those officials across the country too. And as part of the DCCC, we have our voter protection effort to do that, to help make sure that folks can cast their ballots. Again, we know they're going to throw everything at us. They know they're losing, so they're going to do everything they can to rig the system. And we are going to fight back with every tool that we have.
Thank you. Lael, quick question, please.
Yes. Hello, Congresswoman. Thank you for all the intensively hard work I know that you're doing. I appreciate you fighting for us on those fronts. I have a couple questions, actually three, but I'll keep it to two if I.
Just please one.
Okay, one would be I have a problem with the donations that you take and that are obvious in the last election cycle. Your top donor being from IPAC. And your second top donors being from high tech. And so I'm worried about, I would like to know if you would support a moratorium on expanding new data centers while experts research some of the more sinister aspects of AI, and if you would consider not taking IPAC monies. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. With respect to folks who've given across the board, just like other limits, folks have supported me. I can't be bought. People aren't supporting me because they're trying to tell me what to do. I've been very clear on my positions. And that is, if people want to support me, then they understand the positions I've taken and will continue to take. If you're talking about more specifically about my position on Israel and the Middle East, I'm a strong supporter of a two-state solution. I always have been. I think long-term peace means that the Israeli and Palestinian people live side by side in peace and self-determination. I also have huge concerns about the violence that we have seen in the U.S., violence against the Israeli people, violence against the Palestinian people, the actions of Hamas as well. I'm going to continue to advocate for peace. And I also understand that sometimes leaders are not advocating for peace. And I think we understand that the position of the people can be different than the position of the governments. And then on technology too, we have much work to do on technology. You talked about data centers, particularly in terms of the energy and water used by data centers is a critical issue that is coming up across the country. But I also have been a strong supporter of consumer data privacy. I think that while we talk more broadly about AI, the fundamental policy that we still don't have in place is protecting consumer data and sensitive information and giving you control of your data. The EU has policy. Some of our states have policy. There's not one consistent policy protecting consumers across the country. AI consumes data. If we don't have protections for data, we're not protecting people. I've been pushing for strong data privacy legislation and think that's a fundamental place to start.
Thank you. Congressman, do you have time for one more question?
I think I can do one more.
Okay, Pat.
Thank you. Fair warning, this is an antagonistic question. So when you talk about using all the tools at your disposal, why is it, and this is not just for you, it's for all of our federal representatives, why is it the only person I see being interviewed is Pramila Jayapal? Other people, why aren't other people speaking out? Pete Buttigieg goes to Fox News. Why aren't other people speaking out actively if we have all this distrust and upset at Donald Trump? Most of the representatives are very quiet. And of course the Republicans are going to railroad us. Thank you. And thank you for being here.
No, thank you. And I guess I'd say, having done 5 interviews this morning before I started going to meetings, I've been doing press and speaking out every day. And so both national level and national press, locally, in every way I can, on podcasts across the country, speaking out, both myself and in my role as the chair of the DCCC, working very hard to get the message out, not about where Democrats stand, about the great candidates we have, but about positions that I have taken, for example, on hopefully you'll see a bunch on tariffs tomorrow, given that tomorrow is the anniversary of tariffs going into place and the impact on cost of living. So I am absolutely trying, and I would say that I have seen, Adam Smith out talking about the war all over, and so I think as a delegation, folks absolutely are speaking out, and I think doing everything that we can. And I'm sorry if the places that I've been doing it haven't been able to reach you, but I will continue to try and continue to make speaking out a priority.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for being here. And I know later today we're going to be considering your endorsement by
Thank
the
you,
32nd.
and I would appreciate your endorsement. I am a former PCO myself and appreciate all the work you're doing. There's nothing more important than making sure we take back the majority in the House. We need to do that. We will do it, but only if we do everything possible to get there. So thank you for considering that and for giving me a few minutes to speak tonight.
Thank you. You're always welcome here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for that. We're going to go into endorsements next. I'm going to remind everyone that as we're doing endorsements, that during our endorsement period, when we are debating candidates, motions to endorse, not debating candidates, I apologize. When we're debating motions to endorse and asking questions of candidates, the questions themselves that members get to ask must be with 15 seconds or shorter. And because there's only a 3-minute time period for questions of candidates. So just be clear that those are the rules that we have adopted as a body. Pat, do you have a question?
I'm not sure this is the proper time. I have more of a statement. I am becoming more and more opposed to early endorsements, especially as a slate. And we can argue that, yes, we've previously interviewed them. Some of them many, many years ago. And the situation now is so dire and their positions are so important. You heard my semi-antagonistic question. I'm not sure that we shouldn't put everybody, every candidate, back into an interview. We can't just let them rest on their laurels of 5 or 6 or 7 years ago.
Well, thank you for that, Pat, and thank you for sort of the segment, sort of walking through. And I'm gonna have William come up and help with some of these. But I will say that there's certainly an argument that early endorsements favor our candidates. They are incumbent candidates that we've previously endorsed. There is and we also, we feel that an incumbent has done well, we generally like to sort of recognize that and give the endorsement and say that we like what you've done and we support you and we want you to continue to represent us. And that has what the body has done. We the process to get to this point for early endorsements, last year we adopted a rule that said that the only candidates eligible for early endorsements are those candidates that are incumbents running for the same position and candidates who have been previously endorsed by the 32nd District Democrats. And so that is the process. Those are the only candidates that are eligible. Those candidates must have also turned in a questionnaire, as Karen mentioned. And so we're only considering those candidates who've turned in a questionnaire. The endorsement committee has reviewed these candidates and has made recommendations to support these candidates. And so that's how we got here today. Certainly, when we put together a slate, the slate is for convenience. But the slate can only contain people that there's no objection to, and there has been no objection to up to this point. So if someone wants to pull people from the slate, that is their prerogative. And William will talk about the slate here in just a moment. But that's so all of these that's how we got here. And certainly, if we want to revisit the idea of early endorsements, that's something that this body can do. Oliver, the questionnaires are available to members. We will do a much better job of getting the questionnaires to members prior to this meeting. We were getting questionnaires all the way up until like 5 o'clock this afternoon. So
let me jump in.
Yeah, William.
Because I see some of the questions here. We made it this. As you all know, I'm William Page. I'm the chair of the endorsement committee, and history past, because I've been with the committee now 3 years, is that questionnaires have not been available to the 32nd. This year we've moved to change that, because as a committee, we really do. I see someone asking the question, how can we see the questionnaires and the recommendations from the endorsement committee? Kind of feel like I didn't do my homework. Well, for you right now, there was no homework to be done because we haven't made the questionnaires available. We just made that decision this month to be able to make that available. And that was one of the announcements that I was going to make. And now, and the purpose for that, obviously, is so that the membership, prior to these meetings, will be able to see the questionnaires and be a little bit more educated as to the thought process that went into the candidates completing these questionnaires. We do use the questionnaires from both the KC Democrats as well as the Snohomish County Democrats. Those are the questionnaires that we use. So some of these things will be multiple. If you're looking at any of the KC Dems or the Snowco Dems questionnaires. But the intent is to be able to make that available. And the way that we're going to do that, and I'll put the email in the chat if you don't have it, is that if you do want to see the questionnaires, you have to request by email to the endorsement committee. And the reason why you need to do that, because we need to make sure that you're a member. We're not making the questionnaires available to everybody and anybody that's in America. You know, this is for the 32nd, and it's a Google folder, and the person that will receive that request will be able to see that you're a member and will give you access to the questionnaires that we currently have. We also have the opportunity when we start doing our interviews, and hopefully we might be getting some in as early as maybe next week. I don't want to shock my committee, but if we can get started next week, we might. And you are also you will also have availability to be present at our interviews when we do interview candidates. You will be a guest. You will not be a participant. You will be able to observe, and you will not be able to share, but you'll at least be able to hear the candidates' responses to the questions that the committee offers. Okay. Any other questions?
Jenna, you had your hand up.
Hi, I just wanted to. Sorry. Okay. I just wanted to say, as former first vice chair of this organization, this is an all-volunteer organization, and the quality of work that the endorsements committee and the executive board do involves hundreds of hours of volunteer work. So I have the highest respect for the process, and the fact that they're logistically deciding to exclude an interview process for people who've already been vetted by this organization is something I completely support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about the process and how we got here, or about the endorsement, the rules for endorsements? Elizabeth.
Yeah, I just wanted to make space, I believe is for Hunter, who is going to be running, I guess, in one of these positions. I made an attempt that this is for early endorsements, not just, which is different than regular endorsements. And I think if we could hold space for people who are new to this, who are running against the incumbents, do we allow them space to talk when the people they're running against are up for endorsement, like for positions?
At this point, as a body, we consider candidates individually. So there'll be a motion made to endorse. I'm just going to choose one of our recommended candidates, Judge Hawkins. There could be a motion for her, and that does not preclude endorsements or discussion about any other candidate that may want to challenge her.
But tonight's meeting, are they allowed space to speak, even if they're not up for early endorsement?
No, unless there is time, there'll be time for candidates who are running for election to speak, and that will be done after the business. If a candidate happens to be a member of the 32nd, then they may address the body as a member. Any further questions? Sally.
I just wanted to say, Chris, you mentioned that people were on the slate, the early endorsement slate, in terms of efficiency, and I think that's true. But I also think that the slate was made of people who are very laudatory. I mean, who are doing a great job, and we've heard they're doing a great job. Their colleagues say they're doing a great job, and so we're putting them forward. I mean, as you also said, so that they can be acclaimed in the community. The 32nd agrees that this work that they're doing is the work that we expected them to do.
Thank you. And again, all of these candidates have been vetted and talked about by the endorsement committee before. Marilyn, I see your hand up.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate you calling on me. I would like to ask you, and perhaps William would want to chime in, how does one get their name on the recommended endorsement list? Have the rules for this procedure changed, or how does that happen? For example,
I'll answer that question, Marilyn.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I made a mistake. All right. We talked about who we wanted on the slate and didn't want on this, or should not be on the slate, but would have opportunity to present individually. And I dropped the ball on those being on the slate that wasn't necessarily recommended, because they should have been removed from the slate. And that's how maybe some folks are on the slate who will be given opportunity to go through the process individually, that weren't necessarily recommended. And that was my mistake, due to just not understanding the process, being the first time doing it by myself. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's on me, no one else.
No, it's not, but thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So, William, at this time, do you want to talk about what you've done and introduce the candidates that we have put together on a slate?
Okay, yeah, we do have, let me think here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that are currently on the slate, and they are, and I don't know if they're right here in front of me. Great. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who we've gotten her questionnaire, Council Member Jorge Barron, Prosecuting Attorney Lisa Mannion, Snohomish County Judge Elizabeth Frazier, Snohomish County Judge Jeffrey Goodwin, Shoreline District Court Position 2 Judge Karama Hawkins, Shoreline District Court Position 1 Judge Raul Martinez, and Seattle Municipal Court Judge Puha Vadati. We looked at these names and we asked, do we have any objections to these names being on the slate? And we did not. So what I did was I sent I have a spreadsheet that asks 3 questions. Have we received a questionnaire from these people? Yes or no? Do we wish to interview anybody that were eligible for early endorsement, being they had been endorsed running for the same position? And do we want to put them on the slate? And those are the ones that we agreed we did not have any objections to them being on the slate. We do have, I see that Lauren Davis was originally on this showing being recommended, but her questions, we did receive her questionnaire. We do want her to be able to be interviewed, by the body. And so she was not put on the slate. Does that suffice what you're looking for? Any other questions?
Karen, can you put the list back up? And I'm going to ask now, does anyone want to remove someone from the slate? Does anyone want to remove someone from the slate? I am seeing no hands up. Lael.
I have a different question, Mr. Chair, about the slate.
You may, yes.
On the email list of endorsements, Congresswoman Del Bene was at the top of the list, but I don't see her listed here. Is she recommended on the slate or
No,
not?
she is
Or not? Okay, so we will not be considering her this evening. Is that
We
correct?
would be considering her.
What-
She's still eligible for early endorsement, but she is not on the slate.
Thank you for that clarification.
Nick.
There it is. Just for clarification, are there any candidates for office this cycle that are in the endorsement committee?
Yes. Julie Kane is on the endorsement committee, but she has recused herself from any interviews that could potentially affect her possibly in her campaign endeavors.
All right, thanks.
I am seeing no objections to this slate as presented. I'm going to try for an oral vote here. All those in favor of approving the slate as recommended, please signify by saying aye.
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 I hope, but is there anyone opposed?
How about abstain?
Any abstentions?
Yes.
I abstain.
Motion- Oliver, what was your vote?
Abstain.
Okay.
I abstain. I'm not familiar with these candidates.
Okay, with 2 abstentions, the slate passes. Congratulations. If you are a member of the slate and would like to say a quick couple words, I will turn this over to you. Councilmember Barone, would you?
Thank you, Chris. Deep appreciation to all of you. I know how hard the work is in the cycle. I don't want to take up too much time. Just my gratitude to you, all of you, for your endorsement this cycle as well. And thank you for all your hard work.
Judge Frazier.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much. This is a role that I truly am privileged to have. It's a wonderful way to communicate with the community, and your support is really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Goodwin.
Thank you. I'll just take a moment. Excuse me. I've served as a judge for 22 years, and I've consistently been endorsed by the 32nd. I want to thank you again for your support. I had a contested election in 2014, the only one I've ever had, and nobody was more helpful to me than all of you in the 32nd. And I see a number of you in the meeting today who were part of that. So thank you again for your support. It is greatly appreciated.
Who wants to go next?
Well, I will. I just want to thank the mighty 32nd Legislative District for your support. I live here. I raised my daughter here. I take care of my mother here, and there is no place I would rather be. I'm very proud to represent this community in King County District Court. I appreciate the support of this organization, and I look forward to serving you for another 4 years. Thank you so very much.
I saw one hand go up. I can't remember who it was. Yes.
Hi, I'm Lisa Mannion, your King County Prosecuting Attorney, and I just want to say thank you so much. It is such an honor to earn your endorsement again. I'm happy to be back here before the 32nd LD Dems. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all of your work. Thank you for being such strong Democrats.
And is there anyone else still here?
I'm here still, Judge Pooja Vidadi in Seattle Municipal Court. I want to thank you all so much for your endorsement. You endorsed me when I first ran a contested election against the incumbent last election. I made a promise to stand up for restorative justice platforms, and I have tried very hard this last 4 years to accomplish that. In the middle of my term, I did have, unfortunately, an opportunity to stand up for judicial independence, and I have done that. And so I do hope to continue to fight for judicial independence. As we can see now more than ever, it is very important for us judges to stand up against pressure from the other branches and to maintain our own independence. And so I do plan on doing that for the next 4 years. And I'm so very grateful for all of your support this election term. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's everyone. Lauren, would you like to say something for Congresswoman Jayapal?
Yeah, thank you so much for your continued support of Pramila's leadership. As you know, she's running her Resistance Lab program and community aid initiatives in the district and fighting for us in DC. So I'm sorry she couldn't be here tonight. I know she wanted to be, but she's just so grateful for your ongoing support. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And if everyone would like to put their contact information and website in the chat, feel free to do so, and we will make sure that we have that as we share our work and share this list of endorsed candidates with our members. Okay, William, back to you.
Yes. Thank you. What, you know, there is, I think, one last thing, and if there's anybody on the committee that, if I forget something else or something else I need, just say so. For all of you candidates or representatives of candidates that are on this call, and there's quite a few people on this call, which is like fabulous. Please get the questionnaires in. You can find, if you go to the our website and under 2026 candidates information, you will see the link to click on for either KC Dems or Snohomish County, Snowco Dems. You click on either one of those links and you'll be able to get to the questionnaires. And sooner is better. I know everyone has a lot going on, a lot of things happening, but you know, we basically have about a month to get, you know, all the interviews in that we need to get in prior to running out of time with the pamphlets and everything. And if we get them, you know, 3 weeks from now, we're not going to get the interviews. They're not going to happen. All right. We're not going to do interviews of people that we get questionnaires an hour before the general meeting. We can't do that. It happened today and we were scrambling and we made some mistakes, but we're trying to clean this up. We're trying to make this more as seamless as possible. But it starts with, you know, all of us getting you the information that you need, and you getting us the information that we need in order to have the questionnaires available, you know, for the body, so that when you do get the opportunity like today to get in front of them, we don't have anybody saying, who is this person? You know, I can't vote on this person because I'm not familiar with this person. And if they don't get the questionnaire, they get the right to say that. So we don't want any abstentions. You know, hopefully, you know, if we're bringing somebody forward with recommendations, you know, we'll have all the information that you need. So please get the questionnaires in. And it'll be most helpful if when you fill out the questionnaires, you save the questionnaire in a PDF file or a doc file, so that it's not part of the message that you're sending. That makes it a lot easier for people to just look at what you sent versus looking at what you said to me. You know, I don't think anybody want to read that. They just want to see, you know, your questionnaires. So that's, you know, my hope, and I'm looking forward, you know, to this these interview process. You know, last year was my first year as chair, and as you all know, I was campaigning, so I was half here, half there. You know, thank God for this committee, because they walked me through the mud and you know, pull my feet out of the mud so that we could at least get through it. And now, you know, I don't have all this other stuff going on other than trying to help run the city of Mount Lake Terrace. And so I'm just looking forward to getting in front of you all, getting in front of us, and getting to meet you face to face, because it's a great experience for those who don't get the opportunity to do that. And for those of you members that want to, again, you know, at least be part of that experience of watching and hearing, you know, there's nothing better than that. So please take advantage of that. Request, you know, to look at the questionnaires. You'll get that information and join the meetings, and we'll see if we can get like a that's Karen's job, I think, see if we can get something on the website, so just like we have for this meeting, so that you can click on a Zoom button, so that'll take you right to our meetings. That's some of the technical stuff that we're working on. Okay.
Thank you.
And I think, is Monica Martinez on the call? Monica, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Monica is
I'll take this.
the new appointee. Okay.
Yeah, well, with Stephanie Harris moving out of the district, that meant that we need another person to serve on the committee, and Monica has we are very appreciative that Monica stepped up to serve on one of the, if not the hardest working committee on the committee. She's a wonderful person, and I think she's a great asset to the 32nd. So I'm very excited to appoint her to the endorsement committee. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Monica, this is
Okay.
Monica, this is your opportunity now to tell everybody, who you are, what you do, what are you getting ready to do in a few months, why you're doing this, all that good stuff.
Actually, before William, I'm going to pause that because we do have 2 endorsements that we would like to consider, or that some of our
Okay.
candidates would like to consider, who are eligible for early endorsement. Monica, we will get back to you. But the endorsement committee has received questionnaires from Congresswoman Del Bene and Representative Davis, and so they are both eligible for endorsement today. If someone would like to make that motion to endorse one of those candidates.
I move to endorse Representative Del Bene.
Is there a second?
A second, Monica Chilson, PCO.
Okay. We've had Congresswoman Del Bene has been here, so we've had opportunity to ask questions. So we're going to go straight to pro and con statements to on the motion. The pro and con statements are 30 seconds each, and we will be very strict on keeping people to 30 seconds. We'll start with a pro statement first, and then a con, and then go back and forth. The body can, if they want to, extend the number of pro and con speeches. So Robin, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I would. So Congresswoman Del Bene has served us faithfully since 2012. Before that, she has a long history in Democratic political participation, including, as she said, as a PCO. She is experienced and committed. And I feel at this time we need leadership in Washington that is going to protect us. We are in a crisis. And I don't think at this time it's a good time to have a different candidate than her. I went to, thank you.
Thank you. Is there a speech against? Come on.
Yeah, I would like to speak against that. She has been taking money from APAC for a very long time. I checked, she has taken almost $250,000 from APAC and related PACs. She's been voting for unconditionally funding all of the wars that are happening because of Israel. Like even the most recent one of the first reasons that Marco Rubio said was because if we weren't going to attack Iran, Israel would have attacked. So they basically dragged us into this war. She has been unconditionally supporting military aid to Israel, and which is actually against what most American Jews in United States believe in as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Sally, is this a speech for or a speech against?
A speech against.
Kyoko, is this Lael, are you a speech for or a speech against?
Against, please.
Kyoko, speech for?
For.
Okay, Kyoko.
Thank you. I want to give my support to Congresswoman Del Bene because, and I can talk about what she's done to the city of Mountlake Terrace. All the things that she's done at the federal level, I am in favor of, and she's never disappointed me on any of that. In our city, we've asked that she's a good listener and she really, really cares and she shows up and she has helped us on our library roof, our Veterans Park, on our Main Street and so forth. And so, thank you.
30 seconds is very short. Sally.
Yes, I speak against against the early endorsement because she has not spoken to the issue of the military deficit and the defense budget has never been audited. She's never spoken about that. For the first time, she's spoken that she's in favor of the War Powers Act. She has not spoken against endless wars. All of our municipalities, all of our school districts, all of our counties, except one municipality, have huge million-dollar deficits. And I think it's happening because of the amount of we're spending on the war. Our military budget is now $1 trillion, and they're asking for it to be another $500 billion. And we need to stop that spending so that our municipalities and school districts.
Thank you. we've had 2 speeches for and 2 speeches against. The body may choose if they want to extend the number of speeches. Is there a motion to extend the number of speeches?
I make a motion to extend the speeches.
For how many?
Second.
Second.
For how many speeches?
I see 3 hands, so maybe at least 3 more.
So 2 for, 2 more for, 2 more against?
Yeah.
Or 3 more for and 3 against?
I don't have no idea. I would say let's just 2 more and 2 against.
So 2 for, 2 against.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for 2 more speeches for and 2 more speeches against. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection to having 2 more speakers for and 2 more speeches against? Seeing no objection, we'll have that motion passes. Monica, I believe you're a speech for.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Give me a minute, compose myself. It's been a long time since I've addressed this body, much less over Zoom. Yes, I speak in favor of an early endorsement for Representative Del Bene. Representative Del Bene, as Robin mentioned earlier, she is put in her dues. She has paid her dues. She started as a PCO. Now she is serving on the Ways and Means Committee for the House. She's responsible for things like, well, when we were able to cut child poverty in half when we had that majority in Congress. You want to get that majority again? You free up the chair of the DCCC to get those seats in Congress filled with Congress people that are good Democrats. Thank you.
Leo, you're a speech against.
Thank you. Yes, I do not advocate particularly for any other candidate at this point, but I do believe we must send a message somehow that our party is against war and is against genocide. We cannot make peace while being beholden to a genocidal dictator in that IPAC continues to facilitate sending offensive weapons that they use to obliterate Palestine and Lebanon, and that it supports
Thank you.
our dictator in attacking Iran. Thank you.
Thank you. France, are you a speech for or a speech against?
Against.
I'll let you speak.
Okay. Before I came here, I was in the 45th. Years ago, Susan Del Bene came to speak personally, and I asked her what her sense was of the behavior of Israel, and she snapped at me and said, there is not a single thing that can be said against Israel, not a single thing. And I was absolutely floored, and that was my lesson in never asking a question that you don't know the answer to.
Thank you. Marguerite, are you a speech for or against?
I'm for, unless Robin would like to speak for.
Well, I've already done that.
Oh,
think
Robin McClellan has her
Other
hand up.
Robin. Well, Marguerite, why?
Okay. You want
Why
me
don't
to
you
go?
go?
I've got it.
Okay.
I attended a Susan Del Bene fundraiser last year and heard her speak about the DCCC. And I think that her position on flipping the House is top of mind. I think that's what we all should be behind. She's raising money. Some of you may get a text every day for the money being raised to flip these seats, and not only flip, but hold on to the seats that we have.
Thank you. So far, we've had, 4 speeches for, 4 speeches against. Karen, do you have a ballot to go in the chat? There is a ballot in the chat. Ahmad, what's your question?
So I had a clarification question about the number of what percentage of votes she needs. I think from the endorsement for early endorsements we require 2/3. Is that correct?
2/3, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we have this threshold higher for early endorsements for many of the reasons that were brought up. Please let me know if you did not get a ballot, and we do audit these ballots. It is a 2/3 vote today. After filing, the threshold goes to 60%. And again, we consider motions for candidates individually. I did say 60%. So, Alan, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I just want to clarify if candidates don't get the early endorsement, they can go again for regular endorsement.
That is correct.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Robin, is your hand still up? Is there a question?
Robin, you're muted. It looks like you're trying to talk, but we can't hear you.
Okay. Robin, if we still can't hear you, I'm just gonna lower your hand. Karen, has everyone voted who wishes to
No.
vote? No?
I can't find my ballot.
It is in the chat. We will post it again. So while we are waiting, we will go on with our business. I believe there is another motion that someone would like to make. Yes, Pat.
Hi, I would like to nominate Lauren Davis for endorsement by the 32nd.
I second it.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Since we're in early endorsement period, there are no other candidates in this race for this position at this time. So our procedures are Representative Davis will get 3 minutes, followed by 3 minutes of questions, followed by our pro and con statements. So Representative, if we can set the timer for 3 minutes, and Representative Davis, let me try to find you. Nice. There's a lot of people here today.
Do I need to talk? Will that make me blink?
That does help. So yeah, we'll reset your timer for 3 minutes and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be with all of you. Thank you so much for making the time to hear from me. So I first ran for office 8 years ago, and I ran on a platform related to behavioral health and criminal legal system reform. And I want to talk briefly about each of those. In behavioral health, I've been able to have my hand on and be one of the chief architects of our state's brand new crisis response system, 988, so that we have a place to call and we have a non-police response. We funded mobile crisis teams for adults and pediatric populations, and then crisis receiving centers, including I actually spearheaded the creation of the Linwood Crisis Care Center, which will open this year, and it will be the second in the entire state. In the criminal legal system reform space, I have sponsored legislation to make sure that the Department of Licensing doesn't revoke people's licenses when they're convicted of felonies, so that people can actually return to our communities and pick their kids up from school and participate. I sponsored a bill to end a practice called Swift and Certain, where the Department of Corrections was locking people up for very silly minor violations when they're on community custody, and often causing them to lose their job or lose their housing. As a renter, I'm one of the only renters in the legislature. Some things I'm particularly proud of include our efforts to pass rent stabilization after many, many years of fighting, our efforts to pass just cause eviction, so make it very difficult for landlords to kick people out of their housing. I was able to support the Climate Commitment Act, our signature cap and trade program. when I ran, I also ran with lots of conversation about progressive revenue, and I was very proud several years back to vote for our capital gains tax, which was broadly upheld by the public. And then this year, after a nearly 25-hour debate, to cast my vote for the millionaire's tax, which also included efforts. Obviously, we need to continue, but to try to make sure that we're reducing some of our more regressive taxes, including sales tax. More recently, we've done a lot to fight back against the federal administration related to ICE with banning face masks, providing immigrant worker protections, making sure that the State Department of Health is issuing vaccine recommendations. On education, I was able to champion the Fair Start for Kids Act and massive expansion in early learning, as well as the Washington Education Investment Act, which created the most generous higher education tuition assistance program in the entire country. Just, to sort of close, I love this job. I, by choice, work probably 80 hours a week at least in the interim as a legislator, because there's just an endless amount of work to be done. Our communities have a lot of needs, and my title is representative, and I take that really seriously, and I understand who I represent and who I work for. And so I'm constantly at community events and trying to be as accessible as possible. I'm a problem solver. I get my hands in lots of things to try to help. And frankly, I'm a much more effective lawmaker than I was 8 years ago when I first ran. I've really learned where the levers of power are and learned how to be effective. So I ask for your support.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have 3 minutes of questions. So please, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. We will, and remember, we have 50, please keep your questions short. We have 3 minutes. You're expected to have 3 15-second questions. So Nick.
Hey, Lauren. Not everyone likes it, but I love nuance. It tells me you're thinking with your brain. And I was wondering if you could tell us some position you've had in the past that's changed in the past 8 years and explain why.
And we expect answers to be around 30 seconds.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I appreciate your question. So I think the one that comes to mind, probably top of mind, would be related to juvenile justice. We've had Linwood in particular, Council President Coelho. We've got 11 shootings of juveniles over the past 6 years, and we just today there was a shooting of 2 teenagers in the International District, and really thinking about making sure that we are being evidence-based and thoughtful as it relates to our state's response to juvenile justice. I think we failed miserably. We have evidence-based interventions that we don't fund for kids, but I do think there are some measures that the legislature has enacted with all the best intentions that I voted for and supported that have inadvertently, in the collective, when you knit them all together, have perhaps inadvertently contributed to some of the challenges that we've seen. And so I've been trying to work on holistic responses that support the whole child and their family.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Ahmad?
So I had a question about the 3-strike rule bill that you opposed. It basically allowed judicial discretion to release early parole people who had at least 1 strike happen when they were a juvenile. Can you explain your position on that? I know you are the only Democrat who opposed it, and the rest of your colleagues were in favor.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I'll first clarify, actually that bill never arrived in the House. It died in the Senate Ways and Means Committee because there were not enough Democrats to support it to even advance it out of Senate Ways and Means. So there's actually quite a lot of concern on the Democratic side. So there's let me just start by saying the 3 strikes policy is not effective. There's virtually no evidence to suggest it's effective. It doesn't have a deterrent effect. We haven't seen reductions in recidivism. I'm very interested in having a conversation about the prospective forward-looking application. There were approximately 24 individuals who would be eligible under a retroactive application. And what that means is these are individuals of the 24, the vast majority of them had either committed a homicide offense or child molestation. And the concern that I had is that there was actually, you mentioned in the question, judicial discretion. There actually was no judicial discretion. It was automatic resentencing without an opportunity to look at rehabilitation, programming, release plan, remorse. It was automatic with no judicial discretion, and that was the concern I had.
Thank you. Last question, Ryan.
Thanks. Hey, Lauren. Every school district in the 32nd has run a deficit for the last 3 years, ranging from millions to tens of millions. What is your plan moving forward on the next time? Because we have a longer session next year. Is there legislative plans, or are you guys just waiting for another lawsuit like McCleary?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think I'm glad that you asked it about next year, because I think a lot of our best thinking at this point is hinging our K-12 fix on the millionaire's tax. We spend approximately 43% of the state budget on K-12 education. And so with the new income going to the general fund, much of that would go to K-12, but we don't get that money until 2029. And to your astute point, school districts are struggling right now. So really need to come up with what are the levers that we can pull in the immediate. And often, for the most part, those levers are existing taxes, because if we ask the Department of Revenue to set up a new system, it takes time, and so we can't get the revenue immediately. So we've invested in material supplies and operating costs, MSOC, we've invested in pupil transportation, we've invested in special ed, but it's inadequate. Our school districts are still, figuring out how are they going to pay for basic curricula, and it's an embarrassment, and we need to do better.
Thank you very much. And that's our 3-minute question and answer time. Now we will go to the motion on the endorsement, whether or not to endorse Lauren Davis for state representative in 2026. Again, 30-second speeches for, 30-second speeches against, 2 for, 2 against. Robin, is this a speech for?
Yes, I am unequivocally in support of Lauren Davis. I can't believe 3 minutes was not enough for her to detail all of the work that she has been doing on our behalf, the compassionate work. The one thing that I would also say is the work that she's done on mental health has been so critical to healing communities, to our education system, which somebody brought up is so underfunded. If our kids' mental health was better, they would do better in school. And Lauren is a champion. I urge all of us to vote for her early endorsement.
Thank you. Is there Pat, are you a speech for or against?
A speech for.
Chris, I presume you're a speech for. Kyoko, for. Marilyn, is this a speech for or against?
Against.
Okay, Marilyn.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this. And thanks, Lauren, for being here. Serving on the endorsement committee, we spend hours doing background research and investigations. And sometimes we find questions that we need to have further expansion. And I have about 5 different categories of questions that we need to discuss with Lauren. And I thought we had a meeting scheduled to be able to do that. And I'm really sorry that we don't get the opportunity for us to hear it and for her to express and give us the reasons. For example.
Thank you. Chris, I'm going to call on you.
Thank you. In short, I'm going to speak as a constituent. I put on our first ever career fair for Climate Week just a year ago. And I threw an audible and said, wouldn't it be great if we got a state representative to show up? So I asked her office, she showed up. And the first thing she said to my room of 20 was, I am here because the Bloomquist family is my constituents, are my bosses. And it's my job to represent the community. And if I wasn't here, I'd be basically not be doing my job. And I didn't even know her at this point yet, guys. And I was so impressed that she took time out of her busy schedule to talk about a topic about legislative advocacy. And just she shows up and shows out, and I just respect what she does. Thank you.
Thank you. Ahmad, are you a speech against?
Yes, I think Representative Lauren Davis, she provided an answer, but I don't think 30 seconds is enough for me to be satisfied with that answer, to be honest. I would like in the endorsement committee to be able to interview her and have a little bit more perspective into what her thinking is. There is another bill, I don't have the bill number with me, but that was about seeking compensation for wrongful convictions, and she voted against that as well. So I would like to ask her those questions, and we can only ask that question during the interviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are 2 speeches for, 2 speeches against. Is there anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Yes, Ryan?
I'll make a motion to extend 2 more speeches for and 2 more speeches against to approve Lauren Davis.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Is there discussion?
I have a discussion. Can we move it to 3, 4, and 3 against? Because it looks like there's some more hands. So that's a discussion. Should I make an amendment to the motion?
That would be proper, yes.
Okay, I make a motion to amend the motion to allow 3 speakers for and 3 speakers against to have as many hands up be answered. Thank you.
I second.
Is there any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of extending to 3 more speeches for and 3 speeches against, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying no. That amendment passes. And then without objection is the underlying motion. Will the underlying motion pass?
How about abstentions?
Well, abstentions on the amendment, I guess we're still there. We have 1 abstention. Okay, the amendment passes. Is there any objection to the underlying motion as amended, which is 3 speeches for and 3 speeches against? Any objection to that? Any objection? Seeing and hearing no objection, the underlying motion passes. We have now up to 3 more speakers for and 3 more speeches against. Pat, your speech for.
I do. I just want to say I have had several opportunities to reach out to Lauren on a variety of different issues, and I have always had a respectful reception with thoughtful discussion. I've never been turned away, even on some impromptu grabbing her in the hallway discussions. I think she takes her job very seriously. I don't think that she perhaps does not vote as a sheep Democrat and perhaps has her own ideas, her own opinions about some things, but I think she does promote the democratic principles and the democratic platform.
Thank you. Gray, are you a speech for or a speech against?
I am a speech for, so I'll wait till the next account.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Okay, I encourage to vote no, just so we can bring up more time to discuss the serious history of her voting record that is not aligned to democratic values. I'm concerned that she took credit for the recovery center in Linwood that's still not operational. There's a lot of news that is very important that should be shared about how her tax dollars were spent and the service I'm doing there. I'm very concerned about her talking about the children being murdered because her involvement here in Linwood has been more detrimental, has been more hurtful to the kids than helpful. So it was just very things. So just hope we have more time. Thank you so very much.
Kyoko.
Thank you very much. I want to speak for because I knew very little about her when she first came. And since then, I have been absolutely wowed by her knowledge of the system that she with the criminal system and the recovery and so forth. I'm just so amazed at what she's done and her knowledge and how she can help somebody, even on the other side of the aisle. She just is out there helping people all the time.
Thank you. Gray, your speech for?
I am. Okay, so
hold on. Oliver, are you a speech for or against?
Sorry, I'm against.
Okay, Oliver, why don't you go?
Yeah, and I just want to echo the concerns that other people have raised. Since she joined the legislature 8 years ago, and I think this would be, in fairness to Lauren, I think she'd probably agree, her thinking around especially criminal justice has changed significantly. Her policies and her positions have changed. And I think it's fair for the 32nd to hear what her opponent has to say and to look closely at her voting record and make an informed decision before we endorse.
Thank you. Great.
All right. I just wanted to support Lauren's early endorsement. She worked with me on a domestic violence dissolution bill, which was introduced apparently 2686. It was a fee reduction bill. It's basically the skeleton of the larger thing of ideas, because the larger amount of stuff involving equities and dissolution of property is going to take a little bit more time. So I'm glad we got the skeleton of it introduced this time around, and hopefully next year it'll be full-fledged and a lot more supporters for that. And thank you so much.
Thank you. France, is this a speech for or against?
It's for.
Okay, we've had 3 speeches for and 2 against. Elizabeth, you've already spoken.
Yeah, I have a question about the process. In prior endorsements, we heard from the endorsement committee about why they would and wouldn't. Is there any time to have the feedback of the endorsement committee, or did the rules change for that?
William gave his discussion earlier in the meeting.
But they usually, yes, he gave the discussion of the process, but prior to, maybe I'm thinking of things, they would talk about why they would not want to endorse or why they would, but I don't know if that was a rules change or I didn't remember it. But
Well, that has never occurred since I've been on the committee.
okay, thank you. Just want to make sure you got headspace. Thank you.
Imran, do you have is this a speech against?
Yes, it's against.
Okay.
Just as the other candidate in the race, obviously, with all due respect to, Representative Davis, definitely want to give an opportunity for other candidates to at least make their case before the rest of the body and have a more democratic process for making sure that we address this. There are a lot of people from Black and Brown communities. I'm coming from a civil rights background, that have concerns around criminal justice reform and other issues. So definitely want to sort of flesh this out. So I appreciate the consideration.
Thank you very much. We've now had 5 speeches for, 5 speeches against, based on the motion that was made. We will go at this point to a vote.
Mr. Chair, the ballot is in the chat.
Thank you very much. In just a second, Karen, can you please post the results from the previous race? Again, we will audit all of these just to make sure that only members and eligible members are voting on this. An eligible member is someone who has paid their dues 30 days in advance of the meeting. And this is the results from the vote for Congresswoman DelBene. It looks like she did not reach the 66% threshold for early endorsement. She is eligible to come back after the filing period. Imran, do you have a question?
No, sorry, I didn't lower my hand. Apologize.
Okay. While we're waiting and while everyone's voting, I want to thank Sally and Joan and Robin for all the work that you've been doing on PCO recruitment. One of the things we will be reaching out to all of you, and especially all of the current PCOs, over the next few weeks, because it is filing week, filing month or filing year for PCOs. So we do need everyone to refile for PCO. The filing week is going to be May 4th through May 8th. Please do not have Karen or I or Sally or Robin or Joan call you on Friday afternoon and saying, please file. Please do it Monday, just as we want all our candidates to do. Please file Monday. We don't want to worry about you. Robin, do you have, or Sally, do you have anything you want to mention about PCOs and PCO recruitment before we vote to adopt and talk about some new PCOs?
No, but just what you said, we were calling a lot of people at 4 o'clock on Friday, making sure that everyone filed. So we will send out lots of notifications and where to go, and it's very easy to do, and we'll help you, file so we can get fill all of our slots, as Oliver keeps asking. Yes, we need to fill all of our slots in the 32nd. That's our goal.
And Robin.
Well, I saw that I scrolled through the people attending, and I just wanted to point out that Janice Gedlin is on the list up there. She's my neighbor, and she was recruited by Mary Ellen, good old Mary Ellen. Anyway, Janice was recruited to fill the spot across the street from me, the precinct next to me, where we'd had someone deceased. And welcome, Janice. I haven't seen you in person, but I'm glad that you're here participating this evening. Yeah, it's good to have you aboard, and it's been great getting new people. It's been fun. Mary Ellen is in Japan, or else she would be here, and she would be the person you would credit for getting some new people in appointed.
So Janice, while you're here and off mute, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Janice Gedland. Robin said I live in Shoreline, near Robin, district in precinct 1228. I actually found out about this opportunity to be a PCO at Indivisible Shoreline meeting. So I've been spending a lot of time working on the Indivisible movement, and this is a really kind of a next evolution for me. And I have no political aspirations whatsoever. I heard you talk about other people being PCOs first and moving up. Nah, that's as far as I want to go. Anyway, this has been really informative just to be part of this meeting. So I look forward to the chance to be the PCO for my precinct. Thanks.
Thank you. Before we vote on you, and I think we have a couple more people to vote on to become official PCOs, Karen, has everyone voted on the motion to endorse whether or not to endorse Representative Lauren Davis? Has everyone voted? Karen, if you're able, can you please share your screen? It does not look like Representative Davis has received the 2/3 majority, so the motion fails. And I think that there was a lot of discussion of this meeting for the endorsement committee to meet with Representative Davis. Okay. We're going to move on. Sally, do you have some PCOs that we'd like to appoint?
Yes, we do. Besides Janice, 3 other people have recently signed up to become PCOs in Shoreline, and it's David Torrey, Deborah Foley, and Stuart Allen. And I recommend that all 4, including Janice, be approved. The first 3, Janice, David, and Deborah, will be appointed PCOs. That means they will serve as PCOs in their own precinct where they live. And then Stuart will serve as an acting PCO in a precinct next door to where he lives.
Second, Mary Lou.
Thank you. I see David is here. David, would you like to?
Oh, great.
Please.
Thank you, David. Can you introduce yourself, David?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't usually use Zoom. I'm more of a Microsoft Teams guy, so I'm trying to set up my equipment here. Thank you, guys. Nice to meet everyone. So I'm David Torrey. A little about me. I'm not originally from Shoreline. I'm actually from Puyallup. So I was a PCO down in the 25th Legislative District back in the day, state committee member from Pierce County, representing Dems at the state level. And yeah, I'm a civil engineer by day, and looking to get to work here in this next election cycle. So thanks, you guys.
Great. Welcome. Thank you.
Are any of the other new PCOs here?
Deborah or Stuart?
I don't see them in the attendee list. I know that they've talked to you, Sally, and we like all of them. So is there all those in favor of appointing these four individuals to as acting or appointed PCOs? Please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no no's, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. We do want to see all of our 180, 190 or so precincts filled with PCOs. So if you do know people, please encourage them to file this year. Again, the filing period is May 4th through May 8th. Monica, I have not forgotten about you. Do you want to introduce yourself now as the newest member of the endorsement committee?
Hey, Monica Martinez here. I live in Shoreline since 2013, mother of three. I've worked in the Shoreline School District for the last 7 years. I've recently been chosen as a delegate for the 32nd and have plans to join the Democratic Convention in June. I'm excited to be part of this committee, and I look forward to learning, as this will be my first year, my first time this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all our business. I know there's several candidates who'd like to introduce themselves and have 3 minutes to talk about themselves and their campaigns. Judge or Ian, I forgot, are you a judge currently or not?
I am a judge. I'm a judge of the Washington State Court of Appeals, and I'm running for Supreme Court.
Thank you. Yes, welcome. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks. And it's good to be back. I'm jumping around meetings tonight. But good evening, and thank you for having me. There will be 5 Supreme Court seats on the ballot this November, and with the rule of law under attack, it's going to matter who we elect.
Yay!
My name is Ian Burke, and I'm one of your appellate judges at the Washington State Court of Appeals, and I'm running for Supreme Court. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Aerospace Machinists Union, District Lodge 751, Justice Steve Gonzalez, Justice Mary Yu, Insurance Commissioner Patty Cutterer, King County Executive Gurmai Zahalai, and former Governor Jay Inslee, along with judges, attorneys, elected officials, and leaders across Washington. I was appointed to the Court of Appeals in 2022 by Governor Inslee and elected later that year. I've heard hundreds of cases involving families, workers, small businesses, and communities in every corner of Washington. Before that, I was a lawyer for 20 years representing individuals and small businesses, taking on powerful interests in cases ranging from insurance denials to workplace discrimination to consumer protection. And I volunteered as a pro bono lawyer, working with tenants and consumers. And all that shaped how I see the law. It has to be accessible and it has to work for everyone. I care deeply about this state and the people who call it home. Our courts must be independent. Judges must decide cases based on law and facts, not politics or pressure. We must ensure equal access to justice and uphold fairness, integrity, and accountability. Washingtonians share these values, but there are some who want a more partisan perspective at the court. My opponent, Sean O'Donnell, was previously recruited to run by a PAC led by former Republican Attorney General Rob McKenna and Member of Congress Michael Baumgartner. Our courts must remain above that kind of politics. I will ensure that our courts remain fair, independent, and accessible to all. I'd be honored to earn your support, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any quick questions for Judge Burke? Marilyn?
just a quick question. How do you feel about the influence on our court system of the Christian nationalists?
I want to be careful how I answer that question because one of the obligations of a judge is to uphold the religion protections in the federal and state constitutional religion clauses. So I don't want to speak against any person's belief, but I want to add that political pressure has no place in the courtroom. Our job as judges is to decide cases based on the law and the facts of the case in every individual case and not based on any ideological agenda. And that is more important now than it has ever been, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ahmad.
So my question was about basically people getting arrested from courtrooms and courthouses. Now that ICE is here, how do you respond to that? How do you provide like a safe space for people to approach the justice system?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's an important question. To my knowledge, we have had 3 incidents of ICE in Washington courthouses. And we, as a state-level judicial branch, have to respond to that and uphold the integrity of our processes as best we can. As state-level officials, we have limited powers to stand up to federal officials carrying out federal law, but the integrity of our process is our responsibility. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have I didn't know I was on a timer.
No, thank you.
I'll try to be quicker if there's another question.
No, thank you very much. We look forward to our endorsement committee interviewing you or someone from your campaign.
Excellent. If there's an interview, I'll try to say the other part I was about to say. Thank you, everybody.
And our meeting for everyone, our endorsement meeting is going to be Wednesday, May 13th. So put on your calendars Wednesday, May 13th as our endorsement meeting. Danica, I know you have to leave really quick, so you're going to go next.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Danica. I have lived in our district for 13 years. I can always remember that because we bought our house in the district on the day I went into labor with our second child. I have kids in 3 public schools and I've been pretty involved with our PTA. I have really enjoyed jumping into the campaign. I have loved knocking on doors and meeting lots of people who live in our district, discussing with them what their interests are, what kinds of politics are exciting to them. I've been a lifelong public servant. I've spent the last 20 years with the Federal Trade Commission. I'm an anti-monopoly and consumer protection attorney. In order to run for office, I needed to quit that job. The Hatch Act bars federal employees from having political involvement, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't been very involved here before. In this community, though, I have brought challenges against grocery store mergers that spike the prices of food, of mergers between some of the biggest tech companies, healthcare companies that increase the cost of healthcare, and in some of the investigations against big landlords that would use AI to raise the rents or have junk fees. I'm anti-monopoly, and when companies get too big, they underpay workers, they overcharge families, and they hollow out our communities. I believe in markets where local businesses can thrive and families can get ahead. I've been enforcing affordability laws for 20 years, and that's the work I would continue in Olympia. My campaign really is based on 3 pillars. That first part is making life more affordable for people in our community, working on the same stuff I've done. And with the AG's office here, I have some ideas of which laws could be strengthened, which loopholes could be shortened. And second, and this one's a big one, responsible technology, safeguarding digital privacy. You heard from Representative Del Bene. There are really no federal protections there, at least not any from the past 25 years. I want to foster innovation in that space as well. But we have done nothing to safeguard kids online, and the federal government is not going to do that work right now. So we have this little narrow window at the state level to really enact some of those laws. And if I were elected, I'd be the only person, I think, in our legislature who has a pretty broad and strong background in tech and AI, but from a consumer protection, not on the payroll of big tech. And then third, the real reason I'm here, strong public education, fully funding our schools, making sure a child's future never depends on their zip code. This is the 7th richest state in the country, and the quality of a child's education certainly does depend on that. That's my bread and butter. That's what I've been doing in PTAs around here, and it's really nice to meet you guys.
Thank you very much. Are there questions? Robin?
Danica, I didn't understand or hear what you're running for.
Yes, I'm running to become a state representative.
For what seat? Whose seat?
I haven't declared which seat, but I'm running in the, I don't know which seat number it is, but I'm running for the open seat, for Cindy Ryu's seat.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, looks like you escaped the hot seat. So thank you for coming today. Hunter, are you here still?
Yes, I am still here.
Okay, Hunter, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Hunter Gordon. I'm a home care aide and proud union member running as a Democrat in Washington's 1st Congressional District. I've lived in Redmond my whole life and have seen people get squeezed and priced out of living here, whether that be housing prices, insurance, or the cost of groceries. We are the richest country on earth. There is no sensible reason that we should be struggling like this. If the minimum wage kept track with the productivity, it'd already be $26 an hour. Instead, we are seeing the hoarding of wealth for billionaires and mega corporations. This is not a fact of reality, but a result of how we structure our policy. I'm running against Susan DelBene, the 9th richest member of Congress. She's a former tech executive, and she's taken over $250,000 from AIPAC and continues to fund genocide against the Palestinian people. She has held the seat for 7 terms and has never faced a Democratic Party challenger since she took office until now. Unlike DelBene, I refuse to vote present on Trump's impeachment. Elected officials took an oath of office to protect the Constitution, and that oath is not a suggestion. I refuse to take AIPAC money or money from its subsidiaries or give a single dollar to Israel as they perpetuate this genocide and apartheid against the Palestinian people. I refuse to lay over and pretend I don't have power as a legislator in the minority. Imagine if advocates during the civil rights movement had the same defeatist attitude, stopping their fight instantly when they didn't initially have the votes. We should be talking about policies we support now to move the needle both amongst elected officials and the American people. The fact of the matter is that we need a Democratic Party that fights fascists like Trump from rising to power again, not just in terms of impeachment, but in building a working class politics that stops liars like Trump from ever gaining a foothold. If you believe this like I do, I want you to go to electhunter.com and check it out and donate to the campaign if you're able. I'm also open to chat if you wish to email me at info@electhunter.com, which is also linked to my website. Thank you to the 32nd LD Democrats for letting me speak today. And thank you for all your work in helping get Democrats elected. Have a great night.
Thank you. I hope you stick around for a couple of questions. Robin.
Yeah.
Robin? Nope. Come on.
Thank you for committing to not taking any money from AIPAC and other related PACs, but I just wanted to broaden this up. Do you commit you're not going to take any money from any corporate PACs? We have PACs that support oil. We have oil PACs. We have AI PACs at this point. We have crypto PACs. So you commit to not taking. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Keep answering.
Keep answering. Yeah, I commit not taking any corporate PAC money.
I have a quick question.
Elizabeth. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for coming. Big ambition. I'm here for it. I'm curious, are you interested in PCO and do you know much about PCOs?
A precinct committee officer. I am not of the 32nd LD. I'm the 45th. So that would be something I want to consider. But it would be something into the future because I cannot commit to being a workable PCL while I commit this campaign.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions for Hunter? I'm seeing no other questions. Robin.
Yeah, hi, Hunter. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm wondering what you would do different than Representative Del Bene and how you distinguish yourself from the service that she has done to our state and provided for our residents.
I'm very frustrated on her lack of a forward-thinking vision for the Democratic Party. I talked about impeachment as well. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump won 2 elections, and there's been very little reflection on how to stop people like him from ever getting to power again. Again, impeachment is one of those big things, but we need to be talking about working class politics. I believe we're going to win big in this next election cycle, but what after that? I don't see the guardrails that are put up for democracy. I don't see the image that we need to prevent a charlatan like Trump, as much as he lies, from getting another foothold.
But how would you do that?
Well, we need to be talking about this stuff every single day, whether we're in the minority or otherwise. I'm very frustrated by Democrats saying that we don't have power just because we're in a minority. We have a responsibility, not just as legislators in office, but as a bully pulpit for issues. I don't see, if you ask the average person what are the 5 biggest Democratic Party policies right now, you get answers all over the board. And that is a huge problem with how the Democratic Party is perceived and how we win elections and how we win votes to get things done.
Thank you very much. Okay, we look forward to you receiving your endorsement questionnaire and interviewed by the endorsement committee.
Yes, I wrote down those dates, so I'll make sure to get in by then. Have a great night, everyone.
Catherine Edwards. Welcome. Glad you could join us.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you all so much for letting me speak. I know it's been a long night. My name is Catherine Edwards, and I am running to be a Seattle Municipal Court judge. It's currently an open seat, and I'm unopposed. It's for position 2. What I wanted to tell you was that when I was in the 8th grade, I walked into Seattle Municipal Court for a school project on public defense. It was called My Passion Project. I watched lawyers stand up for people who had no one else in their corner, and something clicked. I knew that that was the work that I wanted to do. That was over 30 years ago, and for the last 15 of those years, I've been doing exactly that. I've been standing beside people in Seattle's courtrooms during some of the hardest moments of their lives. I have represented people charged with misdemeanors, with serious felonies and homicides. I've fought for children in the foster care system and worked with individuals facing involuntary psychiatric commitment. In 2019, I co-counseled a homicide trial where racism and police bias were at the center of an unjust prosecution of our Black client, and we secured an acquittal. As a supervising attorney, I have trained a generation of new public defenders, many of whom are now practicing across King County. I built that training curriculum from scratch because I believe that every person who cannot afford a lawyer still deserves a damn good one. But here is what 15 years in that courthouse has taught me. Most people who come before Seattle Municipal Court are there because so many other systems have failed them, whether that's the foster care system, the healthcare system, or the broader weight of poverty, racism, and of intergenerational trauma. There are no real safety nets catching people before they land in SMC. Now, SMC cannot solve all of these problems, obviously, but it can be a place that stops making it worse. And right now, it is not living up to that responsibility. The law in SMC is applied unevenly. People are held in jail on nonviolent misdemeanors, while their felony cases release them to rehabilitative services. Court-mandated programs are not grounded in evidence. And the people who bear the brunt of these failures, the defendants, the victims, the families, entire communities, are overwhelmingly those already hit the hardest. This is not accountability. This is a system that's losing its trust in everyone that it touches. Real accountability means that the court does its part too. It means programs that address the root causes of behaviors, not just check a box. It means connecting people with services that actually redirect them away from the criminal legal system. And it means holding people accountable to clear expectations while giving them a genuine path to meet them. It also means following through, tracking outcomes, using real data, and being honest about what works and what does not. My experience as a public defender is exactly what equips me to do this work. I've spent 15 years seeing what happens when court programs fail and when they succeed. I know which interventions have the possibility to change lives and which ones waste everyone's time. And I've worked with every person in that courthouse: judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, probation officers, victim advocates, victims themselves, and defendants. I understand how the whole system works together and how it doesn't. As a judge, I will ground every decision in a consistent, fair application of the law. I will make sure both sides are heard fully and respectfully. And I will never forget that every person who comes before us and before me, whether it's a victim, the accused, or a witness, is not just a case number. They are a whole person. As I said, I'm running for an open seat. I'm currently unopposed. I'm proud to be endorsed by Judge Damon Shadid and Judge Pooja Vidadi, who was one of your early endorsers. And I really thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Lillian, do you have a question?
Not at this time, but I'll yield to Sally.
Okay, Sally.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Catherine, so much for being here. Do you have an opinion about the community court and what is happening with that in the Seattle courts?
Yes, I do. I think that, when Republican City Attorney Ann Davidson was in charge, she unilaterally disbanded a program that was something that many judges and the city attorney before that and the defense bar had worked really hard to sort of get off the ground and try to create connections for people who are in the criminal legal system for these nonviolent, lots of property-related crimes or drug-related crimes. And so right now, they're actually in the process of trying to bring that system back with Erica Evans, the new city attorney. And it's in its early stages. It's actually being coined as a connections court because that's the goal of trying to make connections with services, with providers, with people who don't have an identification, these sort of basic things to help intervene in what the system, kind of get them away from the system so that people don't see them back there again and again. And so I'm very excited to be a part of that process if I were to be elected.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations for running. It's a lot of us running know how difficult that is, so commend you for doing it. My question is basically, based on your background, what is maybe the most urgent or pressing need in our legal system that you feel like you have the most expertise to address and that you're excited about?
Yeah, so I've been working with individuals who've been charged with crimes for so many years, and the majority of those individuals are people who are struggling with untreated mental health disorders and substance use disorders. And it is just impossible to disconnect those things from the reality of why they're in the system in the first place. And so I'm really excited to work with restorative justice processes, with rehabilitative programs, with things that can actually address the root causes of behaviors. And then lastly, I really feel strongly that victims are sometimes not heard in this process. A lot of victims want a solution. They want behavior to change, but they don't feel like the legal system is meeting their needs. And so I'm excited to be a part of processes that allow them to be restored in a more meaningful way that feels true to them.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. And like everything else, we encourage you to get your endorsement questionnaire in to our endorsement committee as practically as possible.
I did do that.
Oh, yes, that's right. We did get it.
Yeah, we have hers already.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I can't remember everyone who's. We have a lot of great candidates here. We have a lot of great candidates in this room, so I cannot remember everyone. Sorry. We have one more judge who is with us today who would like to speak. Judge Sean O'Connor.
Close. It's
O'Donnell. Sorry,
That's okay.
was looking for you and I couldn't find you.
That's okay. Well, thanks, everyone. My name's Sean O'Donnell. I'm a Superior Court judge in King County, and I am running for the Washington State Supreme Court, position 4. I've been a public servant for 25 years. I started my career as a King County prosecutor, where my first case was a homicide. It was, as we all see, the tragedy of gun violence. A 15-year-old boy stole his dad's firearm, and his 13-year-old friend shot and killed him when they were playing with the gun. After that, I went on to be one of the prosecutors on the Green River Killer case. And I was on that case for 2.5 years. That impacted me both professionally and personally. And when I finished that case, I really devoted my career to prosecuting human trafficking case and crimes of sexual violence, because one of the issues that Ridgway told us, or one of the tragedies he said was, I targeted these girls and young women because I knew that no one would care. And I knew that I could kill them, and 3 days would go by, 3 weeks would go by, and 3 years would go by, and they would be in the wind. And there was some truth to that. After 12 years as a in the prosecutor's office, I went back to doing homicide cases, and then I became a judge, and I've been a judge for 13 years now. And at the trial court, I've worn every hat you can probably wear as a judge. So I've been the chief criminal law judge, the chief family law judge. I'm currently the special inquiry judge for King County, where I review, I guess the best way to say it is corruption cases that have not been filed yet. I've had leadership roles in our court. So I've served as the president of the Superior Court Judges Association. I have co-led task force throughout Washington on improving bail reform and getting money for interpreters and courthouse security. One of the things that we all see right now is that really dangerous comments that people are, sorry, is that my Oscar music? I got to wrap it up.
It is your Oscar music.
Okay. Well, can I just say one thing? I want to address one thing.
Real quick.
I wasn't on the call earlier today, and I understand my opponent came up and was saying some things about me, which is surprising, because he and I were just
some questions about that coming up. So
yeah, well, look, if I could just address that, suggesting that I've been recruited, that I'm a partisan, I got to tell you, that is dishonest. And I am really surprised that someone running for a position on our state's highest court would say that. He certainly didn't have the backbone to say it when I was in the other meeting with him. And it's one of those things, if you're not talking about yourself and you're attacking someone else, then there must be something wrong with your record or your experience. I am proud that I have support from a lot of folks, and it's because they've worked with me, they trust me, and they know that I am fair and impartial. And I would be honored to have your vote, and I'm happy to talk about my career and my work as a Superior Court judge and as a public servant. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth and Keith.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Lunsford, and I would love to meet up one day. If you can jot my name, I know you're very busy.
Sure. Yes.
Yes, Elizabeth Ann Lunsford. And to wrap quickly, I'm really big into restorative justice, but punitive justice kind of gets the votes in that you get these, hard triggering, examples, right? And to get elected, you're like, these are bad people, let's do this. And there's not a lot of advocacy for, restorative, more of a softer side approach. Can you give me a little bit of how we can move forward, or even if you want to move forward in a restorative approach, and how we can dignify the importance of restorative? Thank you.
Well, I was talking about Gary Ridgway because he was a super bad individual. So I'll start with that. But to your question, it's so interesting. When I started, God, I can't believe it's 25 years ago. We did so many trials in juvenile court. I mean, hundreds, maybe more a year. I think last year in King County Juvenile Court, they might have had 6 trials the whole year. And the reason is because of exactly what you're saying. Are there alternatives to how we address cases? Can we divert cases? I'm really proud of the fact that Lisa Dugard, who runs King County's LEAD program, has endorsed me. I've known her for many years. And this is the trend that we're going on, especially for youth, because from 25 years ago to today, folks recognize kids are different. Their brains are different. How we treat them has to change. So my other point on restorative justice, though, and this is what I really believe, is you can't do restorative justice if the victim doesn't want to participate in it. And I am very firm in that, because you cannot re-traumatize them in a process that they may not think is fair. And in forcing them into that or making that some sort of requirement for them, not okay.
Thank you.
I love the Oscar music.
Keith.
Thank you. And Judge, I hate to remind you of this, but your career in the prosecutor's office actually started before that. You were my intern way back when.
Oh.
Yeah, you wiped that out. And I've endorsed you, but it's only after we had a serious conversation about your work before you became a lawyer. You were Slade Gorton's legislative aide, and I'm convinced that you are now nonpartisan, but I'd like the group to hear you talk about what you told me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. 32 years ago, I was 24, and I got to work on some really cool issues. I spent a lot of time finding federal dollars to clean up the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. You might know this. There are these massive tanks over there where nuclear sludge is creeping towards the Columbia River. And that was something the whole delegation was invested in. So Senator Murray's office, Senator Gorton's office, Norm Dix over on the peninsula. And I also did trade issues for him. Sorry.
Yeah, 1 minute for these questions goes quickly.
Sorry about that. I'll get used to it, I promise.
Well, there's other districts that have even stricter requirements.
Okay.
In time, I'll tell you that. Jenna, last question.
Judge.
Hi.
Hi, Judge O'Donnell. Thank you for coming before our organization. I was wondering if you could speak to the constitutionalist movement that is afoot in Washington State. I don't know if you followed in the state legislature the bill that would decertify constitutional sheriffs. And if you were in charge of interpreting the Washington State Constitution, how would you explain to that movement the concept of a constitution as a living document?
I deal with all types who have strong positions on the Constitution, like sovereign citizens. If any of you have ever encountered a sovereign citizen, I hope you haven't. But we're a state of laws, and our Constitution is, when you say living document, I mean, I approach it. My legal framework is the Constitution is what it says it is. Our Constitution affords robust protections for all of our civil liberties, and we have a whole series of cases that interpret it. So that has to be my path when interpreting the Constitution. I think I probably shouldn't talk directly on that topic in case it gets to me when I'm on the Supreme Court.
Thank you.
We are well aware of the limitations that
Yes.
people can ask judges. They're very difficult, and as individuals and residents of Washington, we have strong opinions about these issues, but we also understand that judges cannot speak on issues that are coming before the court or may come before the court. And I appreciate what Jenna. I was worried about Jenna's question for a second, and then it was like, "What's your interpretation? How do you think about living constitution?" Yeah. Perfectly acceptable. Whether it can be answered in 1 minute or not, yeah, that's another question. But I think you put your contact information in the chat, and if you haven't, please do so. And I'm sure that many of us would love to learn more about what you have to offer and would like to offer on the court.
And I'll just offer, if any of you want to call me, my phone number is 206-718-9209. I'm happy to talk to all of you, or any of you, or any and all of you. And I would be thrilled to have your endorsement. And thanks for letting me talk and hop on like I did today.
Thank you very much. And I know based on the candidates we've had here today, I know our endorsement committee is going to be busy. As William said earlier today, any member is eligible to come and participate in the, and not participate, but listen in on our endorsement committee questions. Or they will meet pretty much every Wednesday between now and the 13th of May. So if you would like to participate, just email William and he will make sure to send you a link. Ryan, we do like more cats in our meetings, so I approve. And with that, we're good at the order. Chris Bloomquist, you have some good at the order for us.
Oh, rapid fire. Thank you. No Kings and Shoreline was so inspiring, guys. I got to see about a dozen folks have already doorbelled, so that was great. I have to say, I want to call it in a good way, Councilmember Nand. It was so great to finally meet you. Now I've officially met all 4 other candidates that are going for the same seat, so that felt great. Excited to run a clean campaign with everyone. It's exciting. And the Lynwood State of the City was excellent, where I got to see a bunch of you folks. And lastly, I'll just throw it out there. I just earned a new endorsement, Tamina Watson, who's an immigration attorney, who that means a lot to me as a second-generation immigrant. And my campaign launch party is April 16th. I will be playing saxophone and doing backup vocals for my Filipino Elvis cover band. It's going to be crazy fun. So anyone that wants to know more about that, send me a DM. Great to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone, please put your campaign information in the chat. William.
Yeah, just a quick thing for everyone out there. Throughout this meeting, I've gotten a few emails from people saying that they have not received access to the Snow Code Dems questionnaires, and I haven't gotten access either, even though I've tried 3 different times, including tonight. If you're not getting access to their questionnaires, then use this. Kat Pipkin over at KC Dems said that you can use theirs, in order to get your questionnaires in, because I don't know if anybody on the call has actually gotten any from the Snow Code Dems. I haven't been able to get access, and I've gotten some emails today from folks saying that they haven't gotten a response yet, even though they've been trying to get in. So use the KC Dems unless someone else has a working alternative that they can share with us right now.
Thank you. Jenna.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to update you as one of your Edmonds City Council members about the work of our council. Right now, it's looking like, unfortunately, this year that the council leadership will not be bringing forward a proposal for a replacement levy lid lift after our previous levy lid lift failed. Therefore, some of the city-owned properties, such as the Francis Anderson Center, Hummingbird Park, could potentially be on the chopping block within the next cycle of our CFP CIP. I would really appreciate if we can get some strong Democratic warriors to start coming to our Edmonds City Council meetings, which are 6 p.m. on Tuesday nights, and advocate for saving our city-owned properties. These are assets that were entrusted to us by previous generations here in Edmonds. They are free, they are open to the public, they are ADA accessible. Generations of constituents and taxpayers have invested in them, and I think it would be such a shame if our generation let go of these vital city-owned assets at a time when so many people from marginalized and underserved communities rely on them, who don't have access to country clubs or gated communities, or even, private pools. So again, I'm just going to keep fighting the fight for our values on our city council, and would really appreciate your support, because the other side turns out they're activists and they come consistently to every meeting and espouse libertarian, anti-tax, and anti-government views. And it's just a crying shame when this is such a deep blue area. So I'd love to see the Democratic perspective represented more at our city council meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. We probably really should put on our website the list of all the council meetings, so people know when and where and how to access all our council meetings. I will say that if you haven't, one of our PCOs, Betty Lynn Brown, has been working on civic education and has, I can't remember where her newest panel is, but she has been working in the with the Shoreline Library to put a civic education panel, not a not the speaker series, but civic information in our library, and has been doing this for several years. So I want to just sort of raise up and thank Betty Lynn for the work that she does. France.
So those of you who were concerned about the elections, a group that I'm part of called Free Washington is doing a webinar on April the 8th called Protecting Our Elections. Steve Hobbs will be one of the speakers. There will be a speaker from the AG's office. There will be speakers from several organizations that are working to make sure that we do what we need to make sure our at least state elections are safe. So you can hopefully go to the Free Washington website, or is there a way that I can give you, Chris, the information that would then go to the 42nd website?
Yes, we can put that in our newsletter.
Okay. I'm not really good at transcribing stuff, so I may be doing an email from somebody else to get it to you, but
that's fine.
Okay, and that's at 6 to 7:30 on April the 8th.
Yes. Do check our events calendar in our newsletter. We will have not only this type of event, events from our endorsed candidates and candidates who are seeking endorsement. And also, I want to thank Elizabeth and Keith and the group who put together the first social. Will was part of that. Put together our first social monthly 30-second social together. So I look forward to seeing a date and a location from them really soon, so we can put that in the next newsletter. Because I do believe, and I think we all believe, that it's important that we all meet up and talk and outside of these little boxes on Zoom. Ryan.
Yeah, I was wondering if you know, at the state convention in June, do they have tables for vendors and other groups to display information and things like that?
I think the answer is yes, Karen. But I think there may be limits on who can and cannot get tables.
I was looking for a website for the convention and couldn't find it.
Mr. Chair, this is Monica.
Yeah, Monica, do you have the
Chilton.
answer?
Yeah, there is, and Isabella, I believe, did send an email about that, but it's somewhere in my big old stack of stuff. But yes, there are offers for, being present at convention for, specific causes and whatnot.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that sent to candidates or just to organizations.
We can put the party affairs email address in the chat for you.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Just curious if my exploratory committee could have a table there or not.
Thank you. Keith.
Hey, thank you. And thanks to Chris for creating campaign updates as part of Good of the Order. It's actually a good thing. So 3 endorsements I'm really proud of, besides Cindy Ryu. Insurance Commissioner Patty Kuderer, who is an amazing, hard-charging person. Shoreline's Firefighters, which I think is the first organizational endorsement of the race. And most recently, Representative April Berg, who is in our neighboring district, the 21st. Then doorbelling update, I'm at 3,850 and I still have a full-time job and I'm on the council and I've got 4 kids. So when I schedule doorbelling, I go. And today was wet. I doorbelled Pat Weber's precinct, and Pat, I think you were my 4th or 5th door. By the end, people were literally offering me towels and asking me whether I was 100% sure I didn't want to come in. But I did get it done. And again, doorbelling should be mandatory for every candidate. You learn so much. Thank you.
The poor guy was so wet.
Great. Gray? Will?
Yeah, did you want me to speak? I'm sorry.
Yeah, next.
Oh, so I posted 2 links in the chat about Ziply Fiber. As many of most of the people, basically anywhere on the Snohomish County side of the 32nd, along with Richmond Beach and Shoreline in the 32nd, is within Ziply Fiber's territory in terms of fiber and internet service. IBEW Local 89 is having a really difficult time with the company negotiating the contract. They are being very obstinate, and if you're a customer of Ziply Fiber, especially, I would ask that you please follow both of the links that I posted, to that way get it to the attention of the company executive leadership to stop playing games and to actually work with our union in order to do so. As some people know, I did work for Ziply Fiber up until November of last year. I was laid off and not allowed to bump as a result of some weird shenaniganry involving that. So I am hoping that the pressure from the customer base of Ziply Fiber will be able to get them to finally relent and stop playing games. That is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Will?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. First of all, I want to thank everybody's hard work, and it's an honor to run with so many qualified candidates and hard workers. Keith's story is true. When you're doorbelling in the ring, it can be wet. So a little quick update. Over the weekend, the No King rally was very inspiring in Edmonds. There were thousands of people come out. It's truly a team effort. And when people speak up, people power show up. I participated in the North Shore Line station cleaning up. There were a couple of dozens of people come out. I see Forest Lam was out there. We blow up our sleeves, clean up, pull out jugs. It was quite a party, so I really appreciate the people who participated. My kickoff is going to be on April the 11th. It's going to be at the Mount Lake Terrace, the community center over there, from 3 to 5. So I would love you to come and participate. Doorbelling is so fun. I was able to engage with voters, and that's very effective way to know people's concern. And last weekend, I was able to sign up some volunteers because I'm not on the doors. So really an honor to run with Chris, Jenna, Keith, and Danica. So many good people running. So I think we're in good hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Yeah, I have a lot. But I'll try to be quick. I know it's late. So mostly I'm curious if people got a email about PCO training this past month that was going on. If you didn't get an email, I'd be curious if there's a disconnect there. And then for Linwood, I wanted to mention the state of the union. There was some bad, but there was some really good stuff that I wanted to give kudos to the current mayor, George Thomas, especially addressing immigration. If you're not familiar with Linwood, it's been run by lots of conservatives. And so even if it was a strong stance, it was a stance that to me, I have never seen before. So I wanted to give kudos to that. And then about the fun committee at Peace of Mind Brewery was fantastic. And I'm still looking for input for people who know of businesses that lean democratic in other ways. So any things for Peace of Mind. Oh my God. And then if we can make space for the charter review, is absolutely bananas of what's going on. So that's just a recommendation if we can make space where we can bring awareness and talk about that, so we can go on. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing up the Charter Review Commission that's happening in Snohomish County.
It's bananas.
It is bananas. I think that's the about the right word for it. The fact that we had many good candidates who were running, and they seemed to all take each other's votes, and so Republicans ended up with a lot of seats on that Charter Review Commission. And I'm concerned, from what I've heard, about some of the proposals that are going to come forward.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
We will definitely, I think, need someone to follow and speak out against some of those proposals that are coming from the Charter Review Commission. So here in Snohomish County, please follow that. It is going to be really important to speak out and then organize around what's happening there. Nick.
Thanks. And yeah, tremendous speakers today. What a great opportunity to hear what everyone's up to on the campaign trail. I don't miss it. I might be back at it next year. We'll see. But good luck to all of you. Just some brief updates on what's going on in Linwood. As some speakers have already said, we had the State of the City last week, and some really great information came out of it. One of which is that we've closed our budget deficit. We were entering into this biennium with one of the worst financial crises in our city's history. And thanks to a lot of courageous votes by my colleagues, a lot of hard work by our former mayor and our current mayor, especially our current mayor right now, we have turned that deficit to zero with no more staff layoffs at this time. So we're saving our critical services, which is great because we have really great staff in a number of places, like our human services coordinator, Kyle Ward, who, if you get involved with the city at all, is everywhere doing everything. So just amazing people. We're building housing. We're getting our first cottage cluster off the ground just behind the QFC with the help of Habitat for Humanity, which is exciting. We haven't seen a lot of middle housing getting built in our city yet. We're seeing new apartments come online, so we're addressing housing abundance. And ideally, we're going to have a lot of new reforms coming up in the city. I'm trying to get food trucks in our parks. We're trying to get reform for mother-in-laws pre-approved so that more people without architects can actually get a new source of income or a new home for a family member in their backyard. So a lot of things to look forward to this year, and I hope to have more to report in the next meeting. Thanks.
Imran, I think you're next.
Yeah, just quickly want to give a shout out to everyone in the 32nd LD. I was at the No Kings rally in Edmonds, this past weekend, and it was just amazing to see the turnout. And that, I think that really bodes well for the future of this election. It's been great to meet so many of you and, get to know you all. If anybody wants to grab coffee, please reach out to me, info@peopleforimran.com. I'd love to invite you all to a kickoff event as well on April 11th. If anyone's interested, just hit me up at the email address there. So let's keep in touch and super excited about this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. Oliver, do you want to share what you've been doing in some of the work that you've been organizing in Shoreline?
Just real quick, I would invite everybody to come out to the Urbanist Shoreline social event at the Drumlin Ridgecrest Pub on Tuesday night. And be a great opportunity just to socialize and meet folks in the area. And yeah, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of stuff.
Well, you helped organize the cleanup at Rotary
Yeah,
Park.
it was great. I mean, I thought we might get 10 or 20 people, and we had over 100 people. We had 100 people at least who signed the waiver. It was like we had unchained some dudes that, like, people were driving by and pulling in and just being like, let it, they're just, it was bonkers. It was so great, like how much work got done. Blew through 3 giant 40-yard dumpsters full, and then City needed to go and get some more dumpsters for us, and we had high school and college kids who got dragged out of during their spring break, got dragged over to throw some more trash in. So it was great. Anyway, really excited about it, and thank you to Lauren Davis and Jesse Solomon for pitching in some money, and the city of Shoreline for pitching in some money for that project.
And Liz, I think we all agree that people are definitely hungry for community. Ryan asked what time on Tuesday at Ridgecrest Pub.
Good question. Let me post that in the chat.
Okay, thank you. And Elizabeth.
No, I want to thank you, Chris, for asking Oliver doing that. He is selling himself short. I dabble in the TikTok sometimes. And when I was waiting for my kid, I saw a video of him promoting this event, and just kudos. And the fact that he's mentioning a team event, like selling himself short. So thank you very much for doing that.
I will say that in my years in the 32nd, we have so many wonderful people here who are doing so many great things that I think we all often sell ourselves short. And I could go on for talking about many people here who had so many hats people wear and how much work they do to make better our communities. We're all amazing people. With that, is there any other good of the order?
I just want to ask, Marilyn, are you still on this? No, okay. You're not
She
unmuted.
is. She's here.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
I sent you a private chat. Did you see it?
I did not, but I'll get on it.
Okay, before the meeting is over, quick run to the front. It was probably in the first 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Seeing no other good of the order, the Urbanist Shoreline Social is at 7 p.m. Thank you, Oliver. Seeing no other good of the order, we're going to stop the live stream and close